The wind howled through the barren cemetery, carrying whispers of grief that clung to the tombstones like frost. In the shadow of a crumbling stone cross, a small figure lay curled up on the frozen ground, her thin shawl barely shielding her from the biting cold. 7-year-old Lila hadn't moved in 3 days. She pressed her cheek against the earth, as if she could still feel her mother's warmth beneath the fresh grave. Her tiny hands clutched a wilted daisy, the last gift she'd placed there, now crushed from her grip. The world had abandoned her, her father lost to a mining accident years ago, her mother stolen by fever just days before. But Lila stayed, whispering promises to the silent mound, believing if she waited long enough, her mother might answer. The villagers of Eldermore had noticed the girl's absence from the cobblestone streets. They whispered about her, their voices heavy with pity but laced with fear. "She's gone mad," they said, "sleeping by that grave like a ghost herself." No one dared approach. Superstition hung thick in Eldermore, a place where the old ways still lingered, and the cemetery was said to be watched by spirits who guarded the dead. Yet, Lila's devotion stirred something in their hearts, a mix of shame and sorrow. They left baskets of bread and blankets at the cemetery's edge, too afraid to step closer, hoping she'd take them and leave. But Lila never did. She stayed, her small body trembling, her eyes fixed on the grave as if it held the answers to her shattered world. Lila's mother, Ilara, had been the heart of their tiny home. A seamstress with hands that wove magic into thread, Ilara filled their evenings with stories of brave heroes in far-off lands. Lila would sit by the fire, her eyes wide, dreaming of adventures beyond the coal-dusted hills. When the fever came, it was swift and merciless. Ilara's laughter faded, replaced by shallow breaths and a plea for Lila to be strong. "You're my brave girl," she'd whispered, her hand weak in Lila's. "Promise me you'll keep living." Lila had nodded, tears choking her, but now, beside the grave, those words felt like a betrayal. How could she live when her mother was gone? Each night, Lila's dreams were vivid, almost real. She saw her mother standing in a golden field, her smile bright, beckoning Lila to follow. But every time Lila reached out, the vision dissolved, leaving her colder, more alone. By the third day, hunger gnawed at her stomach, and her lips cracked from thirst. Still, she refused to leave. "You'll come back," she murmured, her voice hoarse. "You have to." The townsfolk's whispers grew louder, their fear turning to frustration. They sent old Mara, the village healer, to coax Lila away. Mara knelt a safe distance from the grave, her voice gentle but firm. "Child, you'll die out here. Your mother wouldn't want this." Lila's eyes flashed with defiance. "She's not gone. She's waiting for me." Mara sighed, leaving another blanket, her heart heavy with the weight of a child's grief. On the third night, a storm brewed over Eldermore. Thunder rumbled like a warning, and the wind tore at Lila's shawl, threatening to rip it away. She curled tighter against the grave, her body shaking, her whispers now silent prayers. The cemetery felt alive, the air thick with something unspoken. Then, through the darkness, came the sound of hooves, slow, deliberate, cutting through the storm's roar. Lila lifted her head, her breath catching. A figure emerged from the mist, a horseman cloaked in shadow, his steed as black as the night itself. The horse snorted, its breath steaming in the cold, but the rider was silent, his face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. Lila froze, her heart pounding, yet she felt no fear, only a strange pull, as if the horseman had been summoned by her sorrow. The rider dismounted, his boots sinking into the muddy earth. He knelt before Lila, his silence heavy but not unkind. Up close, she saw his eyes, gray as the storm, etched with a sadness that mirrored her own. He extended a gloved hand, and though no words passed his lips, Lila understood. She hesitated, glancing at her mother's grave, her heart torn. "I can't leave her," she whispered. The horseman's gaze softened, and he pointed to the sky, where a single star pierced the clouds. Lila didn't know why, but that star felt like a promise, a piece of her mother watching over her. Slowly, she placed her trembling hand in his. He lifted her onto the horse, her small frame light as a feather, and they rode into the night, the storm swallowing the cemetery behind them. The villagers woke to find Lila gone, her shawl left beside the grave, the baskets untouched. Panic spread, some said the spirits had claimed her, others that she'd wandered off and perished. But days later, a stranger arrived in Eldermore, a man named Torin, a wanderer who'd settled in a cabin at the edge of the forest. With him was Lila, her face still pale but her uppercase, her eyes brighter, clutching a small wooden carving of a star, the horseman's gift, she said. Torin told the villagers he'd found her on the road, half frozen but alive, and taken her in. He spoke little of himself, only that he'd lost someone too, and couldn't leave a child to suffer alone. Lila's recovery was slow. Torin, a gruff man with a gentle heart, gave her a home, teaching her to carve wood and tend the garden. He never pressed her to speak of the cemetery, but one night, by the fire, she told him of the horseman. He didn't speak, but I felt safe, she said. Torin nodded, his eyes distant, as if he knew more than he let on. The villagers, once fearful, now marveled at Lila's resilience. She grew stronger, her grief softening into a quiet strength. She began visiting the school, sharing her mother's stories with other children, her voice carrying Ilara's warmth. The wooden star hung around her neck, a reminder of the night she was saved, a symbol of hope that even in the darkest moments, someone or something might come to lift you up. Years later, Lila stood before the village, now a young woman, her hands skilled in carving, her heart full of purpose. She told her story to the children gathered around, not of loss, but of love that endures. My mother never left me, she said, touching the star pendant. And when I needed it most, help came. The villagers listened, their eyes misty, no longer whispering of spirits but of miracles. Lila's life became a testament to her promise to keep living, to carry her mother's light forward. And though the horseman was never seen again, some swore that on stormy nights, the sound of hooves echoed faintly through Eldermoor's hills, a silent guardian watching over those who grieved.